Hi there, everybody. My name is Sipho Ngwenya, and welcome to another episode of MultiTalks. This is a platform where we talk about all the initiatives driven under the MultiChoice umbrella. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the Joburg Film Festival, which is taking place from the 3rd until the 8th of March under the theme Feel the Frame. We've also invited Selane, who is one of the jurors at this year's festival, and she'll be telling us about her role and what you, the audiences, can look forward to at this year's festival. Bongi Selane, welcome to MultiTalks. We're going to have a great conversation today. Also, as the subject matter is something that, I really love when we talk about the South African film and television industry, right? But also the work that goes into film festivals, the Joburg Film Festival, which is coming up now on the 3rd of March. It's in its 8th edition. You have a very, very special relationship with the Joburg Film Festival. But before we get into that, just a bit, bit of a background in terms of who Bongiwe is.
Who am I? Thank you for having me. Firstly, it's a pleasure. Well, I'm a filmmaker. I think of myself more as a story dweller because I love story and I love seeing stories being given birth to. I'm a mom and I am a wife. I think that's very important to kind of talk about because I do my work in that universe of really trying to balance being a mother and a filmmaker, storyteller, as well as being a wife.
So and how do you balance that? Because I know like creatives are very special people, right?
Yeah. I think it comes with really just doing that with the tribe behind you, and being very honest about it. I don't think that as women we really put value into the role we play outside of the work that we do. And it's something I advocate for because it is important. It is who we are. We are caregivers and nurturers. And the film space also requires that. I actually do believe that women make better storytellers than because we are able to nurture, right from the beginning, a story from page up to screen and understanding what goes into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you've been in the industry for some time. The journey started, well, at least a part of your journey with us was at Mnet, right? Where you were commissioning editor also. Tell us about that and how that propelled you to be where you are now and what you've learned along the way.
I can't tell you how amazing my time was here at Mnet. I mean, I went to film school. My intention was always to be a filmmaker. I kind of fancied myself as an editor because that's what I majored in at film school. And of course, it was at a time when South Africa was finding its feet around the film space when I graduated. So I worked for different production companies. I actually worked for a post-production company before I was approached by Mnet. At the time, it was Local Productions, and it was at a very, very, I guess, important time for Mnet because they were closing that open time space. Remember when
Correct.
They had open time.
Correct.
And they needed to grow the business, and their recognition was that local content is what was going to grow the business. Really telling stories from a South African point of view and showcasing them on Mnet. So that's how Local Production was launched. Because Mnet kind of launched with international production.
That was the strength, yes.
Absolutely, and sports. And my coming in, it was at that time when it was really exciting, when we were very unapologetic about the kind of stories we wanted to showcase. And not only in South Africa, but also in Africa, because they were growing the business into Africa. So our main focus was Nigeria and East Africa. And it was a time when we were doing shows like Jacob's Cross.
Oh, lovely, yes.
We were launching Doctor's Quarters in Nigeria, Tinsel. And
I think it's still running.
I think it's still running. I was telling Lisha that I was one of the commissioning editors for the first season of Tinsel.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And also in Kenya, shows like Changes. And so it was really, really an exciting time. But most important also, I was involved with initiatives that were aiming to grow the film space. So New Directions, I don't know if you remember, initiative called New Directions. Its sole purpose was to discover new talent in writers and directors. And short films were made, and feature films were made out of that initiative. And a lot of the filmmakers that are kind of known right now came out of that. The Sola Masegos and Dumisane Pagati. And I think there was a film called Chicken Business, Tariani, Maleruli came out of. And also just other feature films like Yesterday were made under the banner of local productions, licensed by Mnet. And those were shows that, were nominated for Oscars. Films like not Do You, because that's my film, Guns N' Noses, and Yesterday, yeah. So it was an exciting time. And I guess in a way it made me kind of go back to, I know why I want to do this, but maybe like at some point, at some time, I'm going to step into independently producing.
And it's just listening to that, right? An amount of experience that you come with. It then makes sense, right? I mean, you wouldn't have a blockbuster hit like, Happiness is a 4-letter word without that grooming, all right? And the importance of the self-investment into learning.
Yeah, I think my tenure here at Mnet really made me understand the business of filmmaking, understanding audiences. I think we forget that when we make films, we make them for audiences, but understanding who that audience is, where do they sit, where do they live, what are they inspired by, makes you really craft something that is going to resonate and speak to them directly. And I think any broadcaster in Mnet, if anything, is understands who their audience is, hence they cater to that. And it also just, the business side of it, the suit side of it. I always say that producers are the suits in filmmaking, because they've got to be involved in the deal structuring, in raising finance, in pitching, in really selling the story so that whoever puts money into it understands its value and what the returns are in that investment. Yeah.
All right. So as mentioned, Joburg Film Festival is coming up on the 3rd of March up until the 8th of March. Where we're going to be showcasing quite a lot of films, right? International films also this year. You started with this film festival as a festival director, but this time around you return as a juror.
Yes.
Right, completely new role. And the theme this year is Feel the Frame. For now, those people who are just walking around in these cinemas and they're going to be seeing this Feel the Frame everywhere. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think it's super important, and I'm excited about it because it encompasses the world of cinema, right? Because often we think that we're watching a story, but cinema is sensory. It really is about an experience. The experience that comes from the sound that is made in it, the world that the characters encompass, and also just the sensory nuances of story that are super important in like telling that story. And that's where, for me, I'm very excited to judge, because I think experiencing cinema as an audience and just consuming it is very, very fulfilling in its own right. But having to really kind of engage yourself in a film within the theme of Fill the Frame. So the judging is not just about the story. It's about understanding what the director's intentions were in everything they've used in the film, the sound, the music, so that for me is really what I understand Fill the Frame is. But it's such an important thing to put forward in the space of world cinema, because it gives people permission to watch a film, not just for the story of it, but for everything that the directors and the storytellers intended it to be.
Now, in your multiple roles that you've had, one of them being a commissioning editor, as I'd mentioned before, with that hat on, what is it? What do you think audiences, right, look for in a story when you're viewing it as a commissioning editor?
I think as a commissioning editor, first of all, I need to be accountable to the money, to where the money is coming from. So it's really making sure that the initial intention is in the film or in the series or whatever it is that has been commissioned. Audiences at the core have to be entertained, right? They may not look at a film or a series with any other agenda, but just to walk away feeling like I've been entertained, my problems were put aside while I was watching this. And that's also very important, especially in the space of entertainment television or pay television or whatever. It's the purpose is to entertain,
correct,
not necessarily to kind of badger in a message. And I think it's really just balancing what the intention is from a broadcasting point of view to what we want to give the audience at the end, which is entertainment.
And now you've now started your own business, all right, Blingola Media. Before I get into that, what does that mean? What is Blingola?
It has no meaning whatsoever.
I was racking my brain. I was trying to connect Bongi, and I was like, Dollar.
No connection. So it was a company I acquired. You can acquire a company on CIPC, and it was called Blingola Media. But it's officially called Bongiwe Selane Productions.
Okay.
It's just that I left the company name from CIPC as Blingola Media. But it has no meaning. Nothing bling or
all right,
fancy about it.
Okay, now to my serious question then. So now under your business, right, I'm sure there is some kind of inspiration and things that you look forward to in terms of the stories that you want to create. What are those stories that you want to create as a producer under your baby?
Yeah, I've always just wanted to be intentional in being true, firstly to where I come from, which is South Africa, the South Africa that I know, the South Africa that I inhabit. I'm always inspired by female-driven stories, the female gaze, and I think most of my films have really spoken to how women see themselves or how I want women to be perceived, but also this space, this dichotomy we find ourselves in, where as women we are forever negotiating our space in a world that kind of wants us to be something and we want to be something else. And it's that negotiation that I'm very, very interested in, and that resonates with me. And I think with my feature films, the Happiness franchise, it's always been about those women, their friendships, how they navigate life, relationships, motherhood. And then Do Your Worst also was about friendships and how women can really find camaraderie and love and belonging within a group of friends. So that's really what I'm just always like fascinated by female stories. I have no problem with men's stories. They are always in my movies.
Just not the lead.
Just not the lead and maybe not at the forefront. But and I think just being true to who I am. I'm fascinated by what I observe and where I live and who I am. And my characters have always been people I know. Maybe a little bit of myself in those films. They've always been people I see at Tasha's or, in these social spaces. And I'm like, those are interesting women.
Characters, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it also says a lot about our society, right? Because if you look at it, I think for the longest time, we've had those male-dominated, stories where it's the typical male lead. And I think if I look at the Mzansi Magic Slate in the past 5 years, we've had quite a few strong female, lead drama series or telenovelas, right? You take off The Queen, for instance.
Absolutely.
Where you have a very strong, matriarch, at the center of the story. And then you think of The River, also where it has that female strong matriarch lead, which I think back then it may have been a bit weird for guys to consume because of what we've been fed before. Whereas now it's been normalized, right? So now people are like, okay, so what's next now, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there's still more that can be done?
I do think there's more to be done. I mean, I think what we ignore also is that females make the biggest viewing audience.
Correct.
And they are often not catered for the way that they should be catered for. I think sometimes there is a thing of wanting to find balance of, oh my gosh, we're doing too many female stories. Let's try and find something from a male gaze, which is good, but the consumers of that content mainly are female. So it makes sense. It makes business sense. It makes just sense from a resonance point of view to never ignore that element of it all.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I'm a sample of one. In my house, I consume a lot of sport. Yeah, my wife consumes all the content, like the scripted content and unscripted content. She controls the remote there, right? Yeah. So I guess the data is there. Now as a juror, right? 10-year-old Sipho, is thinking like, what is that, right? What is your role as a juror at the Joburg Film Festival?
I thought about this coming here. I was like, what is that?
What do I do?
That's it. Firstly, I'm so honored to have been asked. It's my second time being a juror, and I was at the Durban International Film Festival a while back. Joburg Film Festival, I get myself involved because I'm passionate about the platform, just because I think it's an incredible film festival. I think it's a huge responsibility because you're not only being a judge, it's an honor and also a responsibility because you're being asked and being tasked to meet the film, not just as just watching it and walking away, but really going into why the film was made, so the director's intention, and really being immersed in the world that it's set in. So really watching a film with that sole intention of meeting it at its true intention, which I think is a big thing, Obviously, your initial instinct in judging is very important, but I feel like there's going to be a moment where I have to step back and really interrogate a lot more in it, and the story, and the characters and how it's been put together. I think making a film is it's a very difficult thing to do, especially world cinema, which is what I am looking forward to watching, which I think has been curated. It's the kind of films that we don't see in the commercial mainstream. They're not commercial films. So they come from a place of true artistry. And being a judge is about honoring that, So I think that's going to be my role. I also think that it's going to be an interesting space. I'm very excited about my jury members who are going to be with me because they all come from different backgrounds, right? So the discussions are going to be, I'm going to watch it differently as a producer. Someone else is going to watch it differently as a festival programmer. Someone who's a distributor is going to watch it differently. And to come to that decision of the winner is going to be interesting.
So now with your past experience as a juror, right? I'm sure, like you said, you're not the only person who makes the decision whether a film makes it or not, right? I'm sure there's lengthy debates, and I'm sure there's also been that one property where you like we're fighting for so hard, that unfortunately didn't make it.
Yes, I know.
Tell us about that experience, and I'm sure that might be.
It does happen, it does happen. And it's always the thing where after this, and the filmmakers come and they say, oh, why? And you're like, listen, it was a good film. It was just a tough decision. It is, and hopefully the special mention awards really kind of are there to recognize that we saw something. But sadly, these are the prices we're allowed to give out, and we couldn't give you. But it's always a good thing to also honor some things that we haven't seen. And I know that there's room also to go outside of those judging, to if we recognize something extraordinary, to really kind of recognize that. Yeah.
And now, just getting into this year's program, right? I mean, it's quite a lengthy one. Just in terms of the number of films that have been submitted, I think there's over 60 films, 14 different African countries participating, over 30 distributors. It's quite a lot. But what is the thing that is going to be connecting all these stories in this festival?
I actually don't know.
Love it.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I know that we are going to we're not going to judge more than 15. I think we all sit and watch together.
Okay.
And there's 15, and I think we watch about 3 films a day to meet that. But overall, the film festival curates over 60 films on different. So how they selected the ones that go into competition, I think has to do with how those films have been received, I guess, elsewhere. Some are premieres, so some are showcasing for the first time. So I'm very excited about that. But I do think that Nhlanhla and the team at JFF have done an exceptional job. I mean, to have a film that's nominated for the Oscars showing at JFF it's amazing. It's big. I think there's some amazing documentaries as well. So it's a mixture of narrative, features, and documentaries.
And now that you've mentioned that, right, what do you think then is the importance of also showcasing, these Oscar-nominated or your, I guess, your international films in a space where, you have budding, film producers, in that. What is the importance of that?
I mean, for me, film festival play a role of just an incredible space for creatives to feel like they belong, to feel like they belong to a community of like-minded people who want to be very genuine about telling the stories they want to tell. They're also a great platform for showcasing material and films that are not available in the mainstream. So, for the opportunity for Joburg audiences and festival goers to see these films that we can't really find anywhere. I'm lucky enough that I do get to attend film festivals, but some don't, and so they won't have an opportunity to watch these. So, and for the emerging filmmakers also to be motivated to know that their voice matters, what they've gone on to study or the stories they want to tell are worthy stories. And I can tell you a lot of time you find validation in spaces like that. I can imagine at home, mom is saying, go get a real job, right?
For sure. I mean, we've spoken about this before, right? Because nobody recognizes the creative industry.
Absolutely. And when you get to a film festival, you meet a filmmaker from Nigeria who has been making a film for so many years, but it resonates. It speaks to themes that are so relevant. So now, it's really just can propel you to say, okay, I'm good. I belong. I can do this.
And what do you think then is the importance of investors in film festivals, right? We know that MultiChoice Group, obviously now Canal Plus company is a sponsor, right? Mm-hmm. So without that gap being filled, where would these festivals be? I mean, would we even know about them?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think first of all, really big ups to MultiChoice for playing such an incredible role, like a really pivotal role in firstly supporting a festival like this. I know they're also part of the Silver Scarum current film festival, and it's really just for me, what it shows, it's a commitment to storytelling. It's a commitment to the cultural industry in the country, and it's an investment in talent. They're investing in producers and in storytellers, in writers, and to invest in a film festival is something completely different. But what it does for me and what it says is that they recognize that there's a bigger universe of cinema that exists, that they may not cater for it in their platform, but they are going to bring this once a year to say, here's what's available in the world and come and enjoy it. Yeah.
So now from all the different film festivals that you've been to around the world, what makes the Joburg Film Festival so unique?
I mean, I think that Joburg Film Festival is very special. And I know that when I was involved with them, it was this idea that stories are a treasure. Stories are gold.
Correct.
And to be in a city with such an incredible pulse of everything, the economic heart of South Africa, and also they are like the film industry is so robust here. Why not do a festival, but really it lives in this space. And it's special in the way that the films are actually curated. Most film festival, people just send their films. Here, there's an intention of going out and finding the best that is out there in the diaspora, internationally, and in the African continent. So the films that actually land up being selected are gems. And I know that that's really what Joburg Film Festival sets out to do. It's a process they start really early on, and just seeing what is in the program for me really speaks to the hard work that's gone into that. Yeah.
And now you're also part of the Pulse Storymaker this year, right? Yes. Apparently so. So now, what is it about your own craft that you hope people will walk away with? From
my own craft from being a juror.
Correct. Yes.
Well, firstly, I mean, like I said, it's an honor to be on the jury, and I hope that whatever outcome is out there, it really truly represents the best films, and maybe not the best in the sense that what's not selected is not the best, but just films that are going to really give people an idea of what an experience it is to watch a film, because I think also that's at the heart of a film festival, at the heart of what we are going to do is find those films that are going to leave audiences feeling like watching that film as being an experience rather than just a film, so, and speaks to the theme of the frame.
Feel the frame.
Feel the frame. Yes.
So now, I mean, the festival is not really just about showcasing these films, right? There's also the development side of it. There's the networking side of it. I mean, there's the MultiChoice Talent Factory Day.
JBX as well.
For sure, right? But now, for those people who are not going to be a part of this whole ecosystem, but there's this really talented film producer who thinks they've penned down one of the best scripts that they ever have, but they're just too scared to submit it. What would you tell them to try and motivate them in terms of having to just let go and submit in their work?
Yeah, I mean, the other very important element of a film festival is not just the film viewing, that's just the films. It's the market element of it, which is what JBX is about. And it's that networking space that every filmmaker needs to be a part of, knowing what the funders are looking for, knowing what producers are also out looking for, and really having those conversations, right? And being brave about sharing your story. I find that sometimes writers, they hog. It's like, oh, I'm not ready to let go. But it's in spaces like film festivals where you have to let go, because that's where everyone is. Distributors, sales agents, producers, MultiChoice, other money givers, they're going to be there and they want to hear from you because they have the resources So yeah, I think it's an incredibly important space.
Yeah. All right, Bongi. So now let's get into the fun part of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not thinking here. We're just
Okay.
answering.
Let me not
We're just saying literally the first thing that comes to our heads, right? All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Julio.
Thanks.
All right. A first film festival that you ever attended.
First film festival that I ever attended was probably the Durban International Film Festival.
And what do you remember about it?
I was on the jury.
Oh, wow.
Really? And I
Yeah.
used to work here. I mean, I used to work for MultiTalks.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I was running New Directions at the time, yes.
And a South African film that changed how you think about storytelling.
Wow. I think it was yesterday. I really do think it was yesterday. The first Zulu film, feature film ever made for an international audience. It left me with, you shouldn't be ashamed of your language or how you want to tell your story, and yeah, where you come from.
Normally, people would say, "What is your favorite film?" But we've twisted this one to ask a global film that you wish you produced. Mm-hmm.
It could definitely be A Closer with Julia Roberts.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, nice movie.
Yes.
Nice movie. Okay.
I loved it. I watched it maybe 6 times.
One job behind the camera that you think audiences underestimate.
Behind the camera. I'm fascinated by continuity people on set. What do they call that? Script supervisors. Their attention to detail is fascinating for me. They write on a board and they stop a shoot to say that doesn't matter.
And we can actually, just unpacking that. Many films would be audiences would be so mad if they without these people.
Absolutely, right. And how we can be so mad also on social media.
Exactly, because now you just screen grab.
Just screen grab and you put it out there. So I think they do an amazing job. It must be an incredible training to have that attention to detail. Yeah.
One word, right, that describes what storytelling means to you. One word.
Vision. Because my role as a producer, as a creative producer, is to always respect the writer and the director's vision. It's what I go into my stories with. I'm the protector of it. So throughout, from script right up until delivery and editing and sound design, I'm always on the lookout for that.
Oh, lovely. Well done, Bongi. That wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was good, hey?
Yeah. All right. So now, as we wrap up today's show, just want to kind of like reflect, all right, in terms of your journey as a commissioning editor, content head, being, festival director, and now being a juror at the Joburg Film Festival. When you look back at it, in fact, you look to the future, right? What do you hope that your legacy will be in terms of storytelling?
I think about that a lot because I kind of feel like I want to be remembered for something. I want to be remembered as somebody who's enabled, who has opened a door for someone. I was very lucky in the early parts of my career. Besides happiness, the most important, I guess, work that I ever did was to be the producer of the Female Only Filmmaker Project, which was an initiative that was meant to unearth female talent. And I'm so proud to see a lot of those filmmakers really being at the forefront of directing, producing, and just doing amazing work. And so I hope that I can continue to do that in not only producing, but also enabling voices, enabling talent, and developing and unearthing talent in the work I do. Yeah.
Lovely. Final question. Please, can you finish the sentence for us, right? If you come to the Joburg Film Festival 2026 and you really feel the frame, you, to the audience now, you will leave with
an experience, a life-changing experience. I hope.
Lovely. Bongi, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
this was a great conversation.
Thank you.
And good luck being a juror for this year's edition of the Joburg Film Festival. It's the 8th edition of this festival under the theme Feel the Frame. Good luck. And we hope to see many more movies and blockbusters come. And
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very kind.